Welcome into Seahawks Today by Chat Sports. I'm Meghan Payton. Guys, I just want to tell you something before we get into our video today. We are not like the national media channels who stop talking about your team once they are out of the playoffs. Here at Chat Sports, it's very simple. The more subscribers a channel has, the more videos you get. So I'm asking you guys right now, if you would like more Seahawks videos, the good news is you don't have to wait for the Seahawks to win. All you've got to do is subscribe to our channel, and I promise you we will keep you up to date on all things Seahawks. All right, guys, on today's show, we are talking NFL free agent targets. The Seahawks obviously looking ahead to the 2022 season now that the playoffs are out of the question. So the Seahawks are going to have a lot of different approaches as they go into 2022. That's going to be trade rumors. That's going to be draft, free agents. So today's video, we are talking targets that they should look out for. These are all guys that are going to be free agents after the season is up. So I've come up with 6 different guys, 3 offense, 3 defense. We're going to get into the offense first. Obviously, the main problem on offense has been the line. So we're going to focus on that for today's show. Orlando Brown is the first guy I'm going to talk about. And before you tune out and say, hey, that's unrealistic, I just want to throw all of the options out there, because having Orlando Brown in Seattle would clearly be amazing for the Seahawks. Russell Wilson would be happy about that, I'm sure. But just to give you a little background, Orlando Brown was drafted by the Ravens in 2018. He was traded to the Chiefs before the 2021 season. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's going this year, and unless they're making it to the Super Bowl. But he's Seattle's future at left tackle is unknown. Dwayne Brown, 36 years old. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him. He's going to be a free agent. And so you start thinking about different guys that could replace Dwayne Brown. Dwayne Brown has struggled this year, so that's why I'm going to stick at the left tackle position for a sec. Now, Orlando Brown would be my top choice probably, but he's not going to be cheap. And so as the Seahawks start, kind of constructing what guys they can bring back, what guys they can sign, how much cap space they have, I don't know if Orlando Brown fits that picture. And also the other side note is he's most likely going to re-sign with the Chiefs. As we said, he's only been there for the 2021 season. Things seem to be going well in Kansas City, but in the rare case that Orlando Brown is available, I think that it would be very smart for Seattle to hop on board with that. And guys, we do have 5 other options, so do not get upset about an unrealistic option. That was just a guy that I felt like we had to throw out because he's definitely one of the top free agents available in 2022. So before we get into my other 5 guys, our pinned comment for today's show is for you to name me a free agent that the Seattle Seahawks should sign. It can be any guy that you would like. Go online, check out who's a free agent in 2022, and then go to the comments. Let me know who you would like to join the Seattle Seahawks. All right, next guy I have is a guy that I'm familiar with, Tyron Armstead, another left tackle. I love Tyron Armstead, also known as T-Said. If you have not checked out his latest rap album, it's pretty good. Armstead was drafted by the Saints in 2013. He's going to likely need knee surgery during the offseason. So here's the thing with Tyron Armstead. He's amazing. He's really good. And Spot Track has his approximate market value being at 4 years, $95 million. So that's a lot of money, and he's definitely proven that. But the problem with Tyron Armstead is that he is more injury prone. Like we said, he's going to need knee surgery most likely during the offseason. He's not getting it right now during the season, but this is something that has been a factor with Tyron Armstead. Now, I will say he has proven to be one of the best. And so that is why they have him predicted at such a high value, because he's great. These are left tackles, guys. When we talk about Orlando Brown, we talk about Tyron Armstead, they can definitely change the game. The Saints have seen what it's like not having him this year a lot due to injury, COVID-19, all of that. And it's been harder for them. Tyron Armstead hasn't actually played a full season. He has dealt with injury. So it's something to be aware of. But I would hate to see him leave the Saints, but I'd also love to see him in Seattle. So it would be a win-win for me either way. I think Tyron Armstead is a guy that you would definitely want on your offensive line. And again, Russell Wilson would be happy about that. And really, as we stick with the left tackle position, we're talking Dwayne Brown. This would be the replacement for him. Now, Dwayne Brown, as we said, free agent in 2022. He's 36 years old. Now, he used to be, I'd say, one of the top guys as well, but he's declining. He has had his worst season so far. So Dwayne Brown wouldn't be my ideal choice as for the Seahawks to re-sign in 2022. I think you go with a guy that maybe is a little younger, has a little bit more time left on him, and maybe, you can kind of grow. I'd rather someone that isn't as consistent and have a guy that you can develop later on. Now, we still got more guys to talk about, but I do want to look ahead to Week 18. Seahawks taking on the Cardinals in the final game of the season. Cardinals are favorite at -7. The over-under is set at 48. Maybe this is a game you want to bet on. Hey, if you guys are talking about how great Seattle is and how great they did against the Lions, hey, put your money where the mouth is and go and bet on this game. But maybe you're not feeling too confident in the Seahawks game. Either way, though, if you are betting this weekend, go to chatsports.com/bet. This is the sports book that we use here at Chat Sports. You use the promo code Seahawks125 and you'll get 125% deposit bonus. So you'll put up $100, it'll turn into 225. Then you've got a free $125 to bet on whatever you'd like. So maybe you're not feeling super confident in the Seahawks covering in Week 18, but I'll give you another game. This is the Raiders-Chargers game. This game has a lot of impact. Whoever wins this game is going to the playoffs. Right now, pretty close. They've got Chargers favorite at -2.5. The over-under set at 48.5. Now, this one's kind of tricky, but I could see the Raiders winning this game. So maybe you take the Raiders on this one. This would be a fun game to bet on. Either way, though, make sure you go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code Seahawks125 if you are going to bet at all this weekend. All right, the last offensive lineman I'm going to add for you guys is Brian Allen. He's a center for the Los Angeles Rams. And now Ethan Posick has been a guy that, the Seahawks have been using this year at center. And I think that he's been okay. Brian Allen, though, is a guy that I'd be very interested in coming from the Rams. So it obviously makes a little bit of sense with Shane Waldron. We'll talk about that here in a sec. But he's allowed 5 sacks this season. So it's not, fantastic. But he's someone that you could get for a good price, I think. And obviously working with an offense that you already know helps a lot. And so I think just the reason Brian Allen is on this list is because of the Shane Waldron connection. So, hey, maybe Seahawks decide to get rid of Waldron during the offseason. Then I would probably steer a little bit away from Brian Allen, but this is someone that, again, I think could grow. Brian Allen's only 26 years old. So is Ethan Posick, though, so that doesn't say much. But Posick has struggled a bit this season. And if they're trying to rebuild this line, we're going to have to look at different positions. Now, we didn't really touch on, offensive guards, different areas in the line that also could improve. But these are just 3 offensive linemen that I think could help Seattle in 2022 because they have not been fantastic. So before we switch over to defense, I do want to stick on the O-line real quick and ask you guys, how would you grade the Seahawks offensive line in 2021? We're going to grade this A, B, C, D, or F. I don't think it's an F, guys, because there has been some, progress, I'd say, in the offensive line, but it also hasn't been perfect. So to me, this would be like a C. I'd say average. There were some games where they played really well. Even last week against the Lions, they looked good. And then there's some games where it's just not great and you still need to work on it. But go to the comments right now. Let me know how you are grading the Seahawks offensive line in 2021. All right, let's switch over to Seahawks defense free agent targets. The first one I have, Stephon Gilmore, a guy who I swear took over the NFL for a couple years. And now I feel like we don't hear about him as much. If you missed it, he's no longer on the New England Patriots. They traded him to the Carolina Panthers. Now, he hasn't performed as well this year. There's a reason why I haven't heard of him as much this season. He's had 15 tackles this year, 2 interceptions. A QB rating, quarterback rating is an 80.7 against him, and he's allowed a 10.3 average yards. So this is through 8 games, though, because Stephon Gilmore, another guy that has also dealt with injury. And so I'm not saying that I think Stephon Gilmore is as great as he used to be, but I do think that he would be a great addition to Trey Brown and DJ Reed. Now, we talked about this on our Week 17 overreaction, so I'll put it in the description today. But I talk about how the cornerback situation isn't as bad as you might think in Seattle. I like Trey Brown. I like DJ Reed. But I do think that Stephon Gilmore could be a fun addition to Seattle. even if, you don't want to have a guy get hurt and then be in a situation where you have to have John Reid, who has done okay. I'm not saying that, but you want to have a little bit more depth in that room. Now, guys, of course, Seahawks free agency rumors are going to spark up a lot more when the season ends. We're going to be talking draft. We're going to be talking free agents, trade rumors. This is why you subscribe to Seahawks Today, so you do not miss out on any of this. You do not want to be the one person in your friend group that doesn't know what's going on. So turn on your notifications. Go to youtube.com/Seahawks TV. Make sure you are in the know on all things Seahawks. All right, next guy I have for you guys is edge rusher Randy Gregory. All right, Randy Gregory is a guy that I actually think would be a decently good fit in Seattle. Now, this is because, he's kind of been up and down. I think that he definitely comes along with some off-field concerns. That's obvious. He's dealt with a lot of suspensions in the league. He was drafted by Dallas in 2015. He's enjoying a nice season entering free agency after an up and down start, I'd say. But I will say Dallas, I wouldn't see them necessarily re-signing them. Dallas has been doing great this season, obviously, as they enter the postseason. I could see the Cowboys going with a different option. I honestly think the Cowboys might go with a younger guy. Therefore, Randy Gregory would become a free agent. They probably would let him walk away. Now, the Seattle could use him here as a veteran guy. Now, I'm not saying that he's the best locker room guy. Maybe he is. I don't know. But Randy Gregory would be someone that I'd say you bring in, you kind of help get a little bit more rush to the defense that hasn't been able to do that as much this season. I do like Randy Gregory, though. He has had 17 tackles in 2021, 6 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. All right, now my last guy I have for you guys is someone this would be ideal. Chandler Jones to Seattle. Chandler Jones has been a very dominant defensive player in the league. He signed a 5-year, $82.5 million contract with the Cardinals in 2017. Now, after having 5 sacks in week 1, he has only had 4.5 sacks since then. So it has been, an iffy year for Jones. Now, you look at a guy and you say 9.5 sacks in one season. That's definitely not terrible. But is it Chandler Jones good? Probably not. And so you look at a guy like him and you think, all right, well, even though this hasn't been his best year, he's still going to be expecting a lot of money. So is Seattle willing to pay that much? I don't know, but he is clearly better than Randy Gregory, but he is going to be very expensive. So I'd say that if they could figure it out, I think it'd be a fantastic addition to the Seahawks defense. And I would obviously love to see Chandler Jones up there. And I think there's a reason why he wants the money. You look at the guys who've had the most sacks since 2016. Chandler Jones is right there at number 2. Aaron Donald at number 1 with 78 sacks. Chandler Jones, number 2 with 70.5 sacks. TJ Watt and Cameron Jordan are tied for 3rd, and Myles Garrett at number 5. I do think that Chandler Jones would provide something really special to the Seahawks defense. And like we said, yes, 2021, he's only had 9.5 sacks, but he also has had 12 tackles for loss, 5 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery. So he's definitely not a guy that I'm worried about declining too much. It's just a matter of the money because it's not going to be cheap. And so is it worth it? So I'm asking you guys this, our last question for today's show. Is Chandler Jones worth the money? If you think he is, go to the comments right now and type Y for yes. Or if you think no, moving on, type N for no.